If you ever try to break a habit like nail biting, you know how difficult it can be. Our unseen mental habits can be even more difficult to break, but they are also more crucial. Take a look at these 10 things game developers wish they hadn't said. Evolved Survival Dev apologizes for using the word cheap to describe players. In the heat of the moment, a lot can be said that will later be regretted and retracted. During an exchange on Discord, ARK, Survival Evolved developer Rob W.C. Stark said ARK players were too cheap to pony up $20 for a $60 game. Survival Evolved, announcing paid DLC for an unfinished game, which sparked widespread outrage. Scorched Earth has a different survival emphasis than previous games. Water, which was once abundant, will be in short supply. For many players, securing a consistent supply of Mama Earth's sweet nectar will be more important than taming the waste dragons. Scorched Earth, like most DLC, requires that players own a copy of ARK, but players aren't happy with the idea of more optional content being released before the base game is finished. Longtime fans saw man-hours spent on DLCs that should have gone toward fixing the game that had already been paid for. Activision's teasing of Orion Prelude. According to the game's developer, a DMCA takedown request resulted in the removal of Trek Industries' open-world sci-fi shooter Orion from Steam. Advanced Warfare is rumored to have been used in the game. Orion was pulled from sale after a copyright claim, according to David Prassel of Trek Industries, who also updated one of the studio's other Steam games, Orion Prelude. In his blog post, Prassel quotes a section of the takedown request that states the notice was issued. Activision claims that Orion uses weapon art from Call of Duty. Activision and Valve pulled Orion without warning in the middle of Steam's ongoing sale, according to Prassel. Orion was available for 49 cents instead of 99 cents. Prassel dismisses the claim as false, claiming that he is unaware of which Orion guns are allegedly using weapon art content from those two Call of Duty games. Microtransactions on Payday 2. Microtransactions have been added to Payday 2, despite developer Overkill previously stating that they would not be included. To buy consumable drills that can break them open, you'll need to microtrans at 1.60 pounds of real money. Many other games use similar systems, but few of their creators have explicitly stated that microtransactions will be present. Former lead designer David Goldfarb responded the following month in response to concerns that they might be added in the future. No way. I pray that this isn't the case. In no way. The Sky of a Snowman 18 by Sean Murray. Sean Murray despises being interviewed by the media. He's a chatty guy who's also a little jittery. It's difficult to blame him for being wary. Murray's ordeal began in part because of his willingness to speak to the media. On Reddit, one user compiled a list of everything Murray had stated about No Man's Sky in interviews, which he then compared to what was really in the game. It didn't look good on me. Dungeon Keeper is a popular series of role-playing games. If you ask gamers to imagine Electronic Arts' corporate headquarters, they'll undoubtedly see a cast of shadowy characters seated around a long table in a subterranean cavern, cackling as they discover new methods to increase their treasure hoards by nickel and diming helpless players. This image may be unjust, but the publisher's recent revival of the beloved Dungeon Keeper after a 15-year absence hasn't changed it. That is, until last month, when Electronic Arts published Dungeon Keeper for iOS and Android. When players first start the app, the narrator exclaims, "So you finally returned," as if to congratulate veterans on their years of perseverance. Regrettably, they'll be returning to dungeons that aren't exactly like those of the past. Everything takes a lengthy time in these dungeons compared to before. It takes a couple of minutes to recruit a new creature. It takes 5 minutes to build a new room. Some of the tiniest bricks take an entire day to clear. The countdown timer on them reads 1D, then 23 hours and 59 minutes. As a result, after a few minutes of gameplay, the game will grind to a halt. At a certain point, there's nothing else to do but wait. Xbox 360, Don Matrick. Were you under the impression that the Xbox 360 was only kept on the shelf for the affordable market? The crews of nuclear submarines, it turns out, are another type of consumer for Microsoft's modified last-gen technology. Fortunately, we have a device for folks who aren't able to acquire any type of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360. Xbox CEO Don Matrick stated in response to the outcry over the Xbox One requiring an internet connection. He used the example of a nuclear submarine crew member who would benefit from the 360's offline device. The complete quotes, as well as the film and Sony's message to submarine crews, are available after the break. In North America, Jack Tretton, PS3. Jack Tretton, President and CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment America, has a knack for delivering mind-blowing remarks that beg to be written down by any writer who happens to be in the vicinity. Nothing, and we mean nothing, comes close to the latest one in EGM's March issue. If you could discover a PS3 just anywhere in North America that's been on shelves, for more than 5 minutes, I'll pay you $1,200, and the audience erupts in applause. Penny Arcade has already wrapped themselves in the gooey goodness of that statement, and we like to point out some of our images from January. The photo alone contains around $24,000. We're posting January photos because the interview was conducted in early January 2007, according to an editor's note on the EGM piece. Some had as many as 20 in the store, the EGM team said in the same interview. Come on kids, get in the pool because Uncle Jack is giving away free money. Bernie Stoller. If that's what you're indicating, the problem wasn't arcade games. Tekken 3 is an arcade game that was the best-selling PS1 game. The absence of home-exclusive programming, I believe, was the difficulty in that department. This was the generation when gamers' abilities began to wane and individuals were more concerned with feeling like they were obtaining a lot of content rather than mastering games. This became apparent in the second half of the PS1's library, as the console began to rely more heavily on cinematic-style games. I've always had the impression that Sega's home ports of its arcade games, regardless of whether or not they were as excellent as or better than, say, Namco's things in terms of gameplay, came off as less good because there wasn't often a lot of additional home-exclusive content. Namco was more likely than Sega to go all out. Sega, on the other hand, was releasing a lot more games and still had some home-exclusive content, such as the Shining series and the Dragon Force games, and later stuff like Deep Fear. Nintendo switched great UX. So I'm sure it's no secret that Riot began as a PC gaming company, right? That was our beginning. Most of us came from a PC gaming background, so it took a while for us to start taking the mobile space seriously and considering it, until we started hearing more and more players asking us for things like, hey, I really like League of Legends, but I just can't fit it into my current lifestyle anymore, or similar requests. Over the last 5 or 6 years, it's been a slow but steady climb. However, I believe you've noticed that in the overall mobile trend, right? It's almost as if it started off small and then grew tremendously year after year. Satisfaction and pride. EA's attempt to spin the unlock values of the game's heroes on Reddit backfired spectacularly, as the post became the most downvoted remark in Reddit history. Battlefront 2 was the source of Reddit's wrath. The revelation that several of the franchise's most memorable characters will not be playable from the start. Players will have to pay in-game currency earned via hours of play to access them. Darth Vader cost 60,000 credits, which according to player estimates, entails a 40-hour investment. People and companies who use Reddit for overtly self-promotional or dishonest objectives are often regarded with contempt. Courtesy of Reddit. Although self-doubt is a factor, knowing that not everyone will like your method or subject is motivating. It indicates that you're onto something new and exciting. It isn't your job as an artist to sell Target's mass-produced canvases. Your mission is to make a statement and to make contact with someone. If you couldn't show it to anyone, would you paint, sculpt, or draw it? It's easy to get caught up in the social media adoration and the buzz of a large number of likes on an article you've published online. Successful artists, on the other hand, understand that their development is fueled by internal motivation rather than external recognition. Thanks so much for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, like and comment below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and turn on the post notification so that you never miss out on any amazing videos. Stay tuned for more amazing videos.